Pete Estabrook here. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Johann Sebastian Bach's 371 chorales. Particularly now that you're starting to get into some inversions and you're writing in a chorale style, I would strongly recommend that you get a copy of this book, whether it's a PDF file or whatever, and begin to analyze and work with that. You'll see pretty quickly as you begin to play through them, and I would strongly recommend that you try to play through them yourself at the keyboard. You may struggle with that initially, but you'll be, as a side effect, developing keyboard skills. But you'll notice right away that Bach not only upholds all the rules that you're learning, but he also violates them. It's good to see maybe the musical reasons why he would do that, and to analyze, to examine that. One thing that's come up recently is regarding melodies and how to write melodies in this sort of chorale style, where you're somewhat limited in terms of what kind of motion you can make at this point, at least in the semester. So when you start to look at what Bach's doing, you'll get a sense for what do those chorale type melodies look like, what are the tendencies. There's 371 of these, so it's quite a long study. But if you just begin to get into a few pages of it and start to look at stuff, you'll get some help with a melody aspect of it. You'll get some help with how do you want to construct your inner voices, and how do those inner voices move most commonly, and what is done with various inversions in terms of the bass line and so forth. I haven't really examined it in regard to Koska's charts and his ideas of how diatonic harmony functions or doesn't function. I'll just say that I'm not 100% in agreement with Koska, and I would tend to lean a little bit maybe towards a wider perspective of what can go to what and how the chords are grouped together in terms of how they move. I'll revisit that subject matter and give you some of my personal input that may be a little broader perspective than what Koska's got going on there at some point in time. But for now, I'll just say, if you really want to know, go to the master, go to Bach, and you'll get some answers about how to write in the chorale style. This is not a required assignment. It's just a strong recommendation that as you're learning to do this, that you stretch beyond just the exercises that are in the book. You actually try to do some listening, maybe find some recordings of this, whether that's played on an organ, whether it's done with voices, or maybe a string quartet or something like that, brass quintet, and begin to really try to hear rather than just with your mind and your eyes, but you try to hear and listen. You play those with your for yourself at the keyboard, and you go out on the internet and you do some searching, and you try to begin to listen. How do you write in the chorale style? I think that's all I'll say on this particular video. I'll come back and put my 2 cents in terms of how I feel about diatonic harmony and how it functions, and some other subject matter like chord notation, chord terminology, etc., so that hopefully we can get you maybe just a little bit expanded beyond the limitations of what Koska is saying, and maybe open up your perspective just a little bit beyond that, so that you don't feel too terribly confined and like there's a lot of I can'ts and I can't do this and I can't do that and this is not okay and that sort of thing. So I just want to kind of be there to broaden your perspective a little bit. So I'll revisit these various subjects in the coming weeks. A brief word of encouragement. You're doing a great job. Thanks for hanging in there and sticking with it, especially at this time of COVID. And I wish you, the best. And I'm here to encourage and help you, and just help you do the best that you can this semester on your various projects and your assignments. So if you run into any difficulties, don't hesitate to shoot me an email. I know we're operating out of sync with each other asynchronously, but I'll certainly do what I can to make contact with you and maintain contact with you.